who spent 21 days in the federal penitentiary, not for us, not for him, but for the Kupuna, to make us understand that this issue is bigger than us. This issue transpires decades. This issue to make us understand that we are not like the Egyptian people. We do not allow our Kupuna to be laid out on tables, naked, their arms dismantled for research, their bones to be put in sacks and written with the words Gucci. This is not our way. And so I thank you today for coming to listen to the truth and to ask the questions to help you understand what is really at stake. I present to you Edward Halealoha Ayau.
Halealoha Ayau, Kiki Remos Halealoha Ayau Kane, Kanahine overall morning Kiala Taleo, I'm humbled to be here, humbled to be out of prison. I was humbled to be put in that position because the irony of what happened on December 27th is the judge said to me that I had backed him into a corner. I couldn't understand that because I was the one going to prison, because I wouldn't tell him something that I would never tell anybody. So whose back was it? Whose back was in that corner? The situation in this case has been made more complex than it needs to be. And we had a part in that, and I apologize for that. The case is real simple. It's something we all understand. Everybody else said, this is only for Hawaiians to decide. We don't need other opinions. We're intelligent enough to understand it. My kumos are Edward and Kua Kanahele, and they taught us absolute commitment to our Kupuna, because we are them, and that by caring for them, in effect, we are caring for ourselves, and we're setting the example for our children so that our EV would be protected when we pass. And that, with all the stealing of the country and everything else, stealing of the land, everything that took place, what was lost was that strong sense of kuleana to our country. And the visionary for us in all of this was Kawaihae. And what would that say about me as in money if I didn't stand up and say no? Just say no. There are certain times in some lines of life that we're going to be faced with a situation where the answer is so simple. The consequences might not be simple, but the answer is. And this is one of them. If I had 25 marshals at my disposal, I'd say what the hell I paid, do. But I don't. It's funny, the day that sent me out, Judge Ezra come out and he came back and he had his McDonald's Happy Meal, and I thought, geez, you get 25 marshals, you're going to get your own Happy Meal. How fun is that? There's nothing personal for me, with Judge Ezra. He did what a federal judge is expected to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we believe that was fun. It may have been legally justified, but to us it wasn't fun. And so the answer was simple. Just say no. When I got out of prison, a reporter stuck a mic in my face and said, "So, Mr. Ayau, what lessons did you learn while you were in prison?" And I said, well, actually I learned 3. The first one was that, if you're a thief in 1905 and you rip off a Hawaiian burial cave, you're actually discovering priceless artifacts. Sorry. Lesson number 2, that even though you have the right of free speech in this country, if you're dumb enough to exercise it, you might tee off a federal district court judge. And number 3, if you're even more dumb enough to exercise your freedom of religion, you'll go to prison. And so that's the 3 lessons I got out of this whole situation. It was never anything personal or intended to be disrespectful to the court. I'm an attorney by profession. I knew the consequences of what was going to happen by saying no. You know, it wasn't a surprise or a shock. But to us it was important. Because to me this issue is not about Hui Malama, it's not about RELIGEON, it's not about the plaintiffs in the case. This is about reawakening our money to the kuleana of caring for our Kupuna. It's that simple. That's what was at stake. And if this sacrifice helped, you know, in some way raise that level of awareness, then it was worth it. You know, unfortunately, when I went in, the majority of the brothers in our unit was Hawaiian. And even worse is that the majority of them were in there for crystal meth. And so, you know, if people keep telling me, what can you tell us? What can we do to be supportive? Get rid of ICE. It's really in our community. I know I was in the federal detention center with a whole bunch of good Hawaiians who had addiction problems. Good brothers, not that they off, but incarcerated because of the bad decisions they made. You know, I don't know if any of you have been in that kind of situation before, but there's constant indignity from being incarcerated. One of which, you know, and a lot of people wanted to come and visit me, but I didn't know how to tell them, don't, because every time we get a visit, we got to get spit searched before we go back up. So, as much as I wanted to see these guys, I was getting a little tired of, you know, squatting every ball, so I'm, you know, doing all of that. That was a little bit much. Kawika Tesgan went over the history of this case. One thing I want to make very clear, because it keeps getting repeated, it's totally wrong. Hui Malama never requested that the Bishop Museum loan us or let us borrow Moepu. We demanded that they allow us to be responsible to the Kupuna. It was a demand, it wasn't a request. We made it very clear that the items would never come back because it didn't belong there. We knew where it belonged. Museum's own documents established that. Out of all the cases we've worked on, we've worked on hundreds for the last 16 years. This is the first one where it's clearly documented who stole them, where they stole them from, what was the circumstance of where they stole them. Usually, these don't write about what they do. They reports did, whatever. So it's ironic that with this clear case of theft, that's generated the most confusion. And I think maybe what the Kupuna wanted with this situation is so that we can have this debate, so we can have this discourse to raise our level of understanding and respect for each other. Nothing personal against plaintiffs, and I'm learning more and more from experience out of them what's at stake and how we can find a middle ground, find a resolution that is agreeable to all my people, because a lot is at stake, and it's not. We are aware of what is at stake. For those, especially the people who were traumatized by what happened on December 27th, I want to apologize. It was not our intention to traumatize people. But again, when you get faced with something that you cannot ever agree to, then the answer is simple. And we look to our own Kupuna for guidance. Yeah, what did our people say with the overthrow? They said akua. So when Judge Andrews said, "Are you going to tell me?" I said akua. Hell no. And at one point, when he cleared the courtroom, he said to me, "I want you to know that the removal will be done in the most sacred way." And I just exploded. And I told him, "There's no such thing. There's no such sacred way of ripping off the dead. Not that I know of." At that point, to the marshal, "Take him away." Again, the court was doing what its job is. Marshals were doing what their job is. prison guys is doing their job. I have nothing personal or any animosity towards them. The commitment, the focus is not on the judge, not on Kupuna. You know, the Kupuna is our way of saying, you know, you may have lived hundreds of years ago, but your impact in our lives is still felt today. That's why we're connected to Hawaii. That's why we are Hawaii. That's why we are Hawaii. And that they are getting us today as Hawaiians to wake up. So we can hook a true and resolve this issue, something this fundamental, and we can deal with all the other issues that we're facing too. And to me, maybe that's the lesson that the Kupuna wants us to have. You know, it's not meant to be this personal battle between Hawaiians. It's shocking to me that so many people, so many non-Hawaiians have weighed in on this. I don't know why. Because they have nothing better to do. Maybe they're just used to it, telling us who we are and how to be. And for me, I just ignore them. Because we know who we are, we know how to be. I think if anybody, you know, trained as I was put in the same situation as I was, they would have done the same thing. So it's not a unique thing. A lot of people have used the word hero to describe me, and it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm not a hero. When I was in prison, I had plenty of time, so I was writing my list of heroes. And number one on my list was Halealoha students, because I went through the performances. And number one, I put, those are my heroes. They're perpetuating Hawaiian culture through chant. The cast of Holomaitele, Kumemea Paidea, Pagan Pride, those are my heroes. Mihana Mani'Girl Ayau, those are my heroes. Skippy Iwane, Adult Matanani, Emena Uli. I mean, these are all immersion teachers who get substandard pay, no support from the DOE, and still perpetuate our language. Those are the day-to-day heroes. Not me. I was only there 21 days. You know, single parents, people fighting drugs in their community. Those are the heroes. So, I mean, please, let's put terrorism where it rightfully belongs. You know, I'm my father's son, and my father is hard-headed, and so am I. And so, when I talked to him about what was going to happen, he laughed. He knew what I was going to do. Because he said he would have done the same thing. And, you know, I think that's a good place to end. Please, you know, people keep asking me, what can we do? You know, as Hawaiians, what can we do? Know your Moepu, know where your Kupuna are buried. Make sure the graves are protected. You know, that is the most important, you know, advice I can give. Hui Malama's goal, when we first created, there were two. One was to Malama the Kupuna, and the other was one day not to exist. Because if we never had to exist anymore, that meant the kuleana of caring for the Kupuna was rightfully back in the hands of the families. And there was no need for us. 16 years later, we're still hoping to go away. So please, help Hui Malama Kupuna Hawaii to disappear by the families restoring the responsibility to themselves to care for the Kupuna. Mahalo. I just wonder if there are any pets here and there. Any questions? If anybody's wondering, this thing on my ankle is a GPS tracking unit, so they know where I am, because I'm not allowed to go into the cage. The funny thing is that every time I say "es," I think "shock." Lady, a question. Come on. Okay, mahalo. Hallelujah. Halealoha for all you Manoa coming down. Hallelujah.